Like you said, he's got 3 rings, right? And just to clarify, none of those rings are with Toronto, right?
Is Fraser Minton going to have more points than Slavkovsky this year? Fraser Minton sucks at hockey. This guy might not even be an NHLer, so we got to settle down on that one.
Adelaide, no. Minus 160 on will they show her holding a drink in her hand.
They are 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues in the wild card, and they are.
Oh, the Blues are dog water. The Blues suck. And the Blues are the worst of those 4 teams that I mentioned by a mile.
And
they're not a good hockey team.
Care, like have some set of balls, have some response, have some pride for what the hell goes on the ice. It's so absurd.
I'm looking forward to the parade, but that's going to be later in the year.
I'd rather have so money in that than have Arbor Soda Bomb. I would rather stack a bunch of garbage that I have in the corner of my room over here than have Arbor Soda Bomb in that. He's
May 27th, welcome back to Edgework, presented by Pinnacle. I'm Zack Phillips, joined here on this Monday morning by So Many Sports, Alex B. Smith. And today we're going to be taking a look at what went on in Game 3 there between the Rangers and the Panthers. We'll be looking ahead to Game 3 between the Stars and the Oilers tonight. And we'll be looking ahead to Game 4 tomorrow night between the Rangers and Panthers yet again, giving out best bets, breaking down those games, maybe taking a look at some of these live updated series prices over at Pinnacle. And before we get into all of that, I want to remind people that today's show, as always, is sponsored by Pinnacle Sportsbook. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook in business for 25 years. You can find out what professional bettors have known for decades. Pinnacle is where the best bettors play. You must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please play responsibly. Make sure to head on over to Pinnacle Sportsbook. As I said, we'll bring up some series prices here today. We'll talk about what's going on there, where these numbers have moved to over time, and as we head into each of these games live and updated. And when we take a look at tonight's game and tomorrow's game, you're going to see whether it's sides, totals, first periods, whatever it is that you're trying to bet on. A lot of times, the best price is going to be over at Pinnacle Sportsbook. So make sure to head on over there and sign up today. Add it to your list of outs. Now, gentlemen, as we've now seen here through the conference finals, Eastern and Western, through 2 games between the Stars and the Oilers, that series is tied 1-1. Panthers-Rangers, we had a 1-1 series there. The Rangers go into Florida, Game 3, overtime victory, 5-4 win. Take that one, take a lead as we head to Game 4. Alber, boots on the ground, so congratulations to him getting to see that one in person. So Money, we'll start with you. What did you make of that game yesterday? The high-scoring affair that we saw, the back-and-forth action, kind of seemed like towards the end of the third period there, the Panthers were taking control, dominating that game. Ultimately, the result doesn't go their way, but just as far as what we saw, what did you make of that game?
We talked about this last week where the Rangers, they can't sit back against Florida. They were able to against Carolina, but stylistically it was a different series, different matchup. It's not surprising, of course, that the Rangers are being outchanced, outshot, out everything when you look at it offensively. But that's the way that this team is built, right? And it's they pride themselves on being able to finish. And they have elite finishers on that team. Now, whenever you're looking at a series, I think that it's there's always something in terms of adjustments that a team can do, right? So specifically what I'm saying is that after Game 1, we said that we expect the Rangers to start pushing the pace a little bit. They're not going to sit back. They can't rely on just getting the chances to counter that they did against Carolina, because Florida pushes, but they're also elite defensively as well. So they will stifle you in through the neutral zone as well. But it's easy to say that this is what a team needs to do, right? That's very apparent. The next layer to that is the team able to do it? Are they capable? It's easy to just sit back and say, well, the Canucks should have scored more goals against Edmonton. They should have generated more, and they would have won the game. It's easy to say that I should be 6'5", 220 and play goalie in the NHL, right? Like, some things are just not going to happen. The Rangers, in this case, they do have the capability to do what they're doing, right? They do have that capability to be able to push the pace because they have elite goaltending that they can rely upon. Paul Maurice made an interesting point early in the series that as the series goes on, he does expect these teams to open up. This is what we're seeing, right? So the chances, the increased offensive generation, it's not surprising because the Rangers need this and Florida is okay with it, right? So I think that we will continue seeing that moving forward, and it's just going to come down to if we know Florida's going to carry play, right? Like there's no secret there anymore. It's just, again, like every Rangers series, it's going to come down to, are they going to be able to finish, or is the well going to run dry? And that's basically what this series is going to come down to.
Alex, is there anything that you've taken away from this series that maybe you kind of thought ahead of time something might happen and it's kind of played out differently, or is this more than not what you expected?
No, this is pretty much what I expected. I mean, I bet the 6-game and 7-game series stacked. So I was kind of hoping for this. We see a split in New York, see a split in Sunrise, and then just basically kind of free roll from there. So to see, the Rangers, the way that to get that victory, though, and that's, we talked about it. I hate to bring up the Canucks again, but we talked about it during the regular season. The fact the Canucks were winning games that they normally weren't in previous years. The Rangers don't normally win that playoff game. They have a 2-goal lead and they blow it. Chances are they end up usually losing that game. So I think that shows the level of growth at this time as well. To be able to blow a 2-goal lead on the road, come back and win it overtime, I think that's a solid spot. So that's something that you have to kind of look for moving forward. Kind of get some positivity out here, the Rangers. And like I said, if you're Florida, okay, fine. They want to open this up and make this kind of a back and forth game. That's been the style that really has kind of carried and developed this Florida team in the days then in the years before Paul Maurice. This team can play those boat race, score 5-6 goals a night if they need to for a night or two. I don't think that's going to be the rest of the series, but I do think we'll see it open up. We saw the chances in game 1 and early in game 2. It just didn't come to fruition late. Where now we're seeing those goals kind of falling in. And of course, having the game being in the daytime, changing the scenery, those things kind of open things up a little bit more too. So maybe we see it kind of revert back to the defensive styles of game 1 and 2 with a night game coming up for game 4.
All right, there you go. There's a little recap of game 3 between the Rangers and the Panthers. Let's head on over to today's game, where we're looking at a game 3 on the western side of things. The Dallas Stars, the Edmonton Oilers, heading out to Edmonton here for this one tonight. Oh, sorry, gentlemen. There you go. The Oilers hosting this one, -123. We currently see best price on them. The Stars on the other side, +114. A total of 5.5 right across the board. As for what we've seen throughout the first couple of games here so far, it's been some tight hockey. It's been fun hockey to watch between these two teams. But so money as we head out to Edmonton here now. A couple things that I noticed. I went on over to Pinnacle to look at series prices here as well. First of all, we're seeing the Oilers now favored -113. That's obviously going to swing with series tied and now heading back to Edmonton for these next 2 games. Stars -102. But we're also seeing here a decent price on the Oilers for tonight's game with that -123. Is this just a matter of the ice switching from Dallas here now to Edmonton? Is this a more of a factor of what we've seen through the first 2 games and the market adjusting? What do you make of where the numbers currently sit at, whether it be the series prices or for this game specifically tonight?
I think, I think it's got to do with both of those things. I think that there's obviously the home ice switch, but also I think the market's realizing, which became apparent to me very painfully firsthand, that the Oilers have rebought in. We touched on this last week as well, that they know what they need to do to win. They are fully capable and very comfortable with playing the tighter games. They're totally fine with playing 1-goal games in the playoffs. We saw that in the Canucks series. It's a different mentality for this team, and we're seeing that kind of be reflected now in the market as well. Now, the other thing that I wanted to touch on with the Oilers team is that on the surface they're playing tight, like they're playing tight defensive games. They're still generating chances, and they're still, especially this period in game 2, they're still able to get after it when they need to. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And also, when you go through their lineup, I think that a lot has been made, rightfully so, about how the Oilers are very top heavy. They are, but you look at the contribution that they're getting from that bottom six now. Even a guy like Connor Brown, right?
Yeah.
They're skating, they're generating, but more importantly, that third and fourth line is doing what they need to do. They are eating up the quality minutes to free up the top two lines, right? So you can't have the top two lines hemmed in your own zone. So I think that we'll see a lot of those different matchups as we switch to Edmonton and the Oilers are able to get their line matchups. The Stars, I thought they played a much better game in game two in terms of offensive generation as well. Obviously, Skinner is playing well. As the series goes on, I think that we'll see more goals here. I think it's inevitable that the style that these two teams are playing, the ability to get after it, I think that's going to lend itself to some goals here. And then as the series further goes along later in this series, I think we'll see it tighten up again. So I think in these kind of couple of middle games, I think that we're going to see some goals here. So we can go ahead and lock in the over 5.5. Up to 115 is good. Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah.
So we got it there.
Yeah, and plenty of minus 115s across the market. We'll grab a minus 112 there at Pinnacle Sportsbook. That is the best price in the market currently sitting there right now. So we'll grab a minus 112. We'll recap all this again at the very end. You can find it in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ as well. If you're looking and you want to see what we've been betting on, when we've been betting it, what books we've been betting it at, that's where you can go to check it out. But Alex, are there any adjustments you've made yourself throughout this series, whether it be ahead of time, before the game kicks off, or while the games are happening?
No, it's been pretty straightforward so far through these first couple of games, but I kind of agree with so many say. I think this game will open up to change the scenery, kind of makes a difference. And this is a Dallas team that, keep in mind, they are very good on the road, a solid road team all year long and through this postseason as well. So they have to bring their A game. The Oilers, knowing that they're back home, knowing that they can try and shift home ice to their side, something that teams have failed to do throughout the postseason. It seems like this has been a road heavy playoffs for sure. So Edmonton wants to try to be the team to try to buck that trend here. They need to come out with goals early. So I like the first period over 1.5. I laid $1.10 with that this morning to kind of go online. I'm more likely to be on that over 5.5 as well.
All right, so there you go. Just kind of looking at this game, it feels like the direction that it could be heading in will be a more open, faster paced style of play. Grab a first period over there, over 1.5, minus 104. Again, at Pinnacle Sportsbook, best price available there. And on the total for the full game, Pinnacle as well, over 5.5, minus 112 will lock in. So 2 bets for tonight's game for people looking, and that is total related. Again, we will recap these all at the very end of the show for those wondering what we have bet, what we're betting for tonight's games. But let's also take a look at game 4 for the Rangers and Panthers tomorrow night. Talked a little bit about what we saw, some of the adjustments that were made going from game 1 and 2 in that series into game 3, what ultimately ended up happening there. Well, let's see if we're going to make any adjustments with the team here today as we go to game 4 ourselves, looking ahead to tomorrow, and currently seeing the prices for this game sitting the Panthers minus 165, the Rangers plus 150, and again, totals of 5.5 right across the board. So, Monty, what do you make of where this number has moved to and the price that we see on the Panthers heading to game 4?
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers are inflated. I think that's if you're going by the numbers, you're always going to get an edge on the Rangers with this numbers on with the current number on Florida. But you also have to take the series effects into account too, right? Like the Panthers are rightfully inflated, right? You do have a game 4 response here back at home, and that does mean something in the playoffs, and that is the reason why it's reflected in the market. That's the reason why all our model numbers are going to show an edge on the Rangers. In terms of the total, that juiced under 5.5, it's tough to take, especially because what we talked about earlier, we know the way that the Rangers need to play. We know that the way that the Panthers are okay with playing. So I think that if we can get the plus money over 5.5, this will be another game where I would bet the over. The only concern I have with this game is that Bobrovsky, right? He's got this thing throughout his career where it's really hard for him to string multiple games together. And when multiple, I mean like 4 or 5 games in a row where he is really strong. He always has a clunker like every 5th start or every 6th start. Even during his good playoff run, if you go back, there were some games in there that that weren't very good. So he had his bad game, right? It was about the 5th game or so here. I don't actually. You know what? Let's bring the chart up here. Just give me one second. I should have been prepared for this if I was going to talk about it.
All good.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this time it was his 8th game, right? So his last bad game was the 5-1 game, the 5-1 loss against Boston. I believe. Yeah. So that was game 1. And so up until game 3 of the Rangers series, he was fine, right? So now the concern here is that he does bounce back after those games, right? So I'm a little hesitant on the over, but I think that I would play the over small. So even if I did half unit on the over 5.5 at plus money, I'd be okay with that.
So the over 5.5 plus money, we can find the plus 105 out there right now. So maybe we'll lock that one in at a half unit there. So money, again, recap everything at the very end. But Alex, is this kind of the way that you're approaching this game as well?
Yeah, this would be more of something where I'll be looking kind of live. I need Florida, like I said, because of how I bet the series. So maybe I would be looking at something kind of Florida first period, money line, or even for first period puck line. And I do think they can kind of push back. We've seen this be a trend too in the playoffs, where the teams that have lost that next game, they tend to get a goal early in that next contest. So anything like that, even if you land $1.45 just to have a goal in the first period with Florida, that's something I would probably be circling as a pregame bet, and then looking to adjust for things in game with game 4.
Right. All right. Well, there you go. That'll do for our best bets and previews of the games coming up here tonight and the next game tomorrow night, game 4 between the Rangers and the Panthers there. Thank you to everyone who tuned in today. As for our picks, if you want to see them yourself, you want to see when we're tracking, how we're tracking, where we're tracking them at, you can head over to the BetStamp app and you can find that in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. As for our picks for tonight's game and tomorrow's game, we do have 3 bets there. So we're going to go with the Stars Oilers first period over 1.5 minus 104. Track that Pinnacle Sportsbook full unit on that one. The Stars Oilers over 5.5 minus 112 for tonight. Full game again at Pinnacle Sportsbook, full unit on that. And then the final one, the Rangers Panthers over 5.5 for tomorrow night, plus 105, half unit on that game there. Those are our best bets for tonight's game. Tomorrow's game, if you did enjoy the show, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications so you get notified every single time that we go live. We do appreciate all the support, appreciate everyone who's watching, following along. We'll be back here on Wednesday morning for more picks, previews, and predictions to break down the next couple of games coming up after that. Thank you so much for watching. Alex, So Money, thanks for taking the time to do this here this morning. Do appreciate it as always. Look forward to seeing you guys again on more shows as we continue our Stanley Cup playoff coverage. Thanks to everyone else out there. Enjoy the game tonight. Good luck on your bets.